Good evening, Aggies. Happy Thursday and welcome to our Spring 2024 Alumni Town Hall. We are so elated that so many of you have joined us from across the country. We had someone register from Japan, Honolulu, almost all 50 states. We have Aggies worldwide, and we are so happy that you are joining us this evening for our town hall. So we thank you for joining. We thank you for your love, commitment to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. The Office of Alumni Relations vows to continue working together with you on connecting with fellow alumni to collaborate on initiatives that support our alma mater while staying committed to the work of A&T's global footprint. Thank you for showing up and supporting our many sports teams, our women making it to the Super 16 and the WNIT, our bowling team moving on. It's a great day to be an Aggie. It's always a great day to be an Aggie, but we have so much to celebrate. We know this is Chancellor Martin's final alumni town hall, but we're going to continue to celebrate him until his last day, until we welcome our new chancellor. Since our last town hall, in October, the Office of Alumni Relations has accomplished a lot. We hosted the 97th edition of the greatest homecoming on earth with record attendance at our events and on campus for programs. In November, we welcomed 5 new members to the Advisory Council on Alumni Relations. Dr. Keith Graves, class of 1970, Waynette Kimball, 2-time alumna in the classes of 2008 and 2010. Donovan Kirkland, class of 1993, Isaiah Ginyard, class of 2014, and Tony Watlington Jr., class of 2022. In January, we hosted the first national membership drive for the over 40 alumni chapters across the U.S. The Aggies in those areas showed up and joined alumni chapters in record numbers. Thank you for supporting and joining your local alumni chapter. In February, during the Week of Aggie Love, we had engaging conversations about being an engaged alumni, how to give back, Aggie generations, and we had some talented Aggie creatives join us. We educated many Aggies, and you all showed up and gave on Young Alumni Giving Day, 441 donors. Thank you for supporting us and continuing to support. We are pleased to share that over 700 alumni work on campus in Greensboro at North Carolina A&T. They give back by showing up every day. On March 9th, on our Founders Day, we hosted our 2nd annual Alumni Employee Celebration, an appreciation birthday party to acknowledge and appreciate all alumni employees. And many of you celebrated our Founders Day in your local areas. We saw the many posts, and thank you for showing the love. Today, you received an email from our office with a few important updates and ways to stay engaged as alumni. The month of April is Aggie Pride Month of Service. This was started by the former National Alumni Association and carried on by the Washington, D.C. Alumni Chapter. Thank you for starting this. We've expanded it to alumni chapters over the past few years, and now we're expanding it to Aggies across the world. That's right. It's a call to action because Aggies serve. We want Aggies across this world serving during the month of April. Put on your Aggie gear, submit a service project, join something that's already happening in your local area, or start a new project. Put on your Aggie gear, take photos, and give back, because that's what Aggies do. We want you to submit the information after the service project with your name, completion date, location, name of participants and class year if applicable, and photos so we can post them. Of course, use the hashtags AggiesServe. Another event that you learned about is Women in Philanthropy, Creating Financial Freedom. It's a one-day networking, education, and knowledge-sharing seminar designed to provide participants with the necessary tools to make improved financial decisions and sustainable change for years to come. The goals are to bring together women who inspire to deepen their knowledge of financial and philanthropic endeavors. We want all women in the local area, or if you can travel in, to come join us. Tickets are still available. The keynote speaker is Melanie D. Parker, Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer at Google. So if you can't attend, you can purchase and gift a ticket to another woman. Next up, as we prepare for Alumni Reunion Weekend 2024 in May, celebrating the Golden Class of 1974 and Silver Class of 1999, we have record-breaking numbers of registrants in the Silver Class. And this year, Chancellor Martin is a member of the Golden Class of 1974 and will be inducted into the Society of Golden Aggies. What an honor, something I aspire for one day. We look forward to celebrating the 2 milestone classes in a few weeks. And if your class year ends in 4 or 9, stay tuned for more information about your celebration with Reunion at Homecoming. Many of you have already started planning for the 98th edition of the greatest homecoming on earth. Today, you received information about the Sheraton Greensboro Hotel reservations process for homecoming. This year, the process, we will have a donor priority period open to all alumni donors in the Chancellor's Circle annual giving level. That will start on Wednesday, April 24th at 12 noon Eastern Time until Tuesday, April 30th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Donors in the Chancellor's Circle will receive an email with further instructions. Then the hotel reservation link will be available for the general public on the university's website on the Alumni Relations page on Monday, May 6th at noon Eastern Time. Please note, all reservations will take place online through the Sheraton Greensboro Hotel portal. You will be allowed to reserve 1 room. I ask that you do not call or visit the Sheraton to make your reservations. Also, the reservations process is a first come, first served in regards to booking your hotel room. Hotel rooms at the Sheraton are always in high demand by the Aggie family, with over 70,000 alumni, over 63,000 active emails that we communicate with almost weekly. The Sheraton has nearly 1,000 rooms, so I ask that you practice your Aggie patience and understanding throughout the process. And we are elated to share that we have other partners for the 2024 homecoming. They are listed on our website and were emailed after last year's homecoming with the homecoming survey. We look forward to welcoming you all back on campus for a safe and enjoyable homecoming and any other event that you come on campus to between now and then. We welcome Aggies to come back and stop by the Office of Alumni Relations when you're in town on campus. Aggie family, thank you for all that you have done and will do in the future for this illustrious institution, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. We have the greatest alumni on earth. I want you to always remember that you're a part of the Aggie Pride legacy that achieves great goals in everything and produces renowned individuals dedicated to excellence. Thank you. And I have the esteemed honor to introduce the next speaker for tonight, none other than our illustrious preeminence leader who's been here for 15 years, the first alumnus to do so, and has done an amazing job taking us to greater heights and will challenge us to keep going. Chancellor Martin, I turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Crystal, and certainly good evening to everyone. And let me thank you all for joining us for tonight's alumni town hall. I must say to you that it has been a joy to serve my alma mater, our alma mater, and certainly I'm a very proud member of the Golden Class of 1974. So I look forward to welcoming all of our alums of the class back to our commencement this May, and been a part of the celebrations with that proud group as well. I also want to thank my colleagues for joining me this evening. We have a number of administrators from a variety of areas on our campus who will be sharing in the conversations with us and potentially answering questions that may come from you during the Q&A as well. But let me also thank you for the incredible years of service and support during my 15 years as Chancellor. You know, it got to a point where every time I was being introduced among my colleagues in the UNC system, it would always begin something like this. Now I'm proud to introduce our longest serving chancellor in the UNC system. And that became the mantra, which I was very proud of. It is in these days, in these tough jobs, often my colleagues are not having nearly the kind of support that I have received here. And I'm absolutely proud to have had the great opportunity to serve our alma mater and gain incredible support. And we've had lots of conversations over the years, talking about our plans for the year, plans for the long term, sharing with you updates on our progress of the institution in a variety of ways, quite honestly, beginning with face-to-face conversations in various cities around the nation. And then when COVID hit, we began to transition to virtual engagement. And then quite candidly, this has allowed us to engage even larger populations of our alumni at one time, which has been a great way to engage. I want to certainly thank Crystal and Ken Sigmund and their teams for continuing to create these opportunities for us to share with you, answer questions, and continue to engage in a very positive and healthy way. So again, I want to share a bit about the university, where we are, enrollment trends, and a variety of other areas. I'll try to be brief with these so that we give my other colleagues an opportunity to give updates as well. And we'll have an opportunity for a very robust Q&A and still get us out at a reasonable time as well. So next slide. So I'm going to focus my conversation around a few slides on enrollment growth, degree productivity, a whole host of investments and new degree programs that are continuing to create significant levels of relevance and competitiveness of our institution that continues to drive enrollment growth, but also continues to connect us with a growing array of very diverse corporate partners and organizations who are seeking our graduates in very high demands and are creating partnerships with our university in so many varying in different ways and making very strategic investments that allow us to continue to advance the institution in a very strategic way. We'll also then talk about our research expansion and how that's shaping out to impact our long-term commitments to sustain our competitiveness at doctoral research graduate university. We'll talk about endowment and the growth of the endowment and some of the things we're using those endowments for. And then we'll talk a little bit about economic impact and close out my presentation. And again, hopefully we'll have stimulated some questions among you during the Q&A. Next slide. As you remember, when I arrived in June of 2009, our enrollment had been declining for approximately 7 years. We really needed to make some really critical decisions. More importantly, how we were going to not only turn our enrollment around, but also create an agenda that would sustain enrollment growth over the years, but also create an opportunity for us to continue to shape the competitiveness of the institution and to producing across the institution a broad array of highly prepared, highly engaged students when we had the opportunity and continuing pleasure to work with at A&T and producing a sustained cadre of outstanding graduates year over year. Well, by 2010, after a couple of years, we began to see our enrollment after 7 years begin to bottom out. And more importantly, we began to make strategic investments, marketing the institution, enhancing our relationships to our enrollment management staff, and in getting into markets and selling our university and aggressively recruiting outstanding students to the institution that has allowed our university to continue to grow, as this chart demonstrates. We were expecting to grow our enrollment to approximately 14,000 students by fall 2023. And as you can see by the blue bar, we're right at about 14,000 students, 13,885 students. These are some of the most highly recruited, competitively supported students, and they come from about 98 countries around the world, almost every state in the union, So a high diversity of geographically dispersed students who are making up the student population, both undergraduate and graduate students on our campus. The exciting part about the continuing enrollment growth is that we've continued to see the growth in the academic profile of every freshman class year over year. And through that growth in the competitiveness of the entering freshman class, and transfer students are joining our university from a variety of other four-year universities and community colleges, we've been able to create a model that's sustaining our enrollment growth, both undergraduate transfer students, online students, as well as graduate students attending A&T. And through this population of highly engaged and participatory students on our campus, we've continued to see increasing retention rates, graduation rates, and successes in moving our students to graduation, while simultaneously reducing the debt that our graduates have upon graduation. And you've helped us immensely by being able to do that. It's one thing to ensure that we are affording our students an exceptional college education, but we are able to move them through the university in a much more timely fashion to graduation rates. And again, they're graduating with less and less debt year over year, which enables them to go out into the workplace, buy a home, and make investments, or afford the opportunities to go into graduate and professional schools. You see in this population of continuing growth in our degree productivity, not only are we producing more graduates, but a higher percentage, again, as I indicated earlier, corporations and agencies and organizations are coming to our university literally in record numbers, requiring that we create multiple career fairs to accommodate the growing demand for our students from the social sciences and humanities to agriculture to health sciences, teacher education, and to STEM disciplines on our campus as well. Our graduates are getting jobs, very competitive paying jobs, and places our university only second to NC State in starting salaries for our graduates. That's a big deal. And we didn't just happen overnight and by happenstance. It happened because of the significant intentionality and tough decisions we've had to make over the years. And so again, I want to thank you for allowing us and entrusting us to make those tough decisions in concert with our Board of Trustees to ensure that we'll continue to position our institution in a very competitive posture. I would say to you, as you look around the state and you look around the nation as a whole, there are a whole host of universities that are on a very significant enrollment decline and having to make major budget cuts as a result of losing students. We have been very, very fortunate, and among the very, very few universities in the nation who are continuing to see high demand for access to our students, by our students, and high access to graduating students who are getting very competitive jobs. Next slide. And one of the reasons we are continuing to see high levels of interest in our university is because we've made some major and tough decisions about our university. We've been very clear about the necessary changes we needed to make to position our university from 15 years ago to today being highly marketable to the students and their needs and their interests today. We've had to let some degree programs go because they were no longer relevant to students and their interests and their families, and create an array of new degree programs as summarized in this chart. We've also had to make sure that we are creating new degree programs that were increasingly relevant to our universities, producing graduates that were increasingly important to the many industries and government agencies that are interested in our graduates as well. One of the most significant and critical decisions we made was reevaluating our academic colleges and schools. And out of that very challenging process, we disposed of some academic programs that were irrelevant to our future direction and have created a host of new degree programs. And as I shared with you before, we created 3 new colleges on our campus out of our existing schools. We broke up the big College of Arts and Sciences We took the arts and humanities and social sciences, as you recall, and created in 2015 the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, which allowed us to pay particular attention to the growing demands of students coming to our university who were really interested in the arts and humanities and the social sciences. We took the School of Technology and the science and math program out of the big College of Arts and Sciences and created the new College of Science and Technology. And then we took the School of Nursing and all related degree programs we had that were health sciences related and collected those in the new John R. and Kathy R. Harrison College of Health and Human Sciences. And then we made big investments in each of those academic colleges. And we began to develop an array of new degree programs across each and every one of those new colleges and continuing colleges on our campus as well. For example, in 2013, we created 2 new PhD programs and a new master's degree program, the 2 PhD programs, one in the College of Education and one in the College of Engineering, and of course began to expand the graduate education in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. In 2014, we added an additional baccalaureate degree in information technology in the new College of Science and Technology. And you can see the array degree programs, a new master's in accounting, a new BS in health services management, and a new master's in health psychology in 2020. Next slide. And you can see the broad array of new graduate degree programs, predominantly graduate degree programs, as we have enhanced our posture as a doctoral research R2 university in a very, very competitive posture to grow graduate enrollment, to enhance research on our campus. These new doctoral programs and master's degree programs have added substantially to our university's brand and recognition and competitiveness as a competitive doctoral research university. A new PhD in agriculture and environmental sciences began to enroll its first students in 2021, now has about 30 PhD students enrolled today. And you can see the array of master's degree programs that we rolled out, all relevant to growing demands in the corporate sector, data analytics, cybersecurity. And I'm really excited about all of these programs, but in particular, quite excited about the new Master's in Physician's Assistant Studies in our new Harrison College of Health Sciences. Some of you may remember in about 2014, 2015, we made a very, very tough decision to separate the political science and criminal justice programs in the same department. While there were lots of rumors about what we were planning to do with political science still thrives today as a part of the Department of History and Political Science, but we created a freestanding Department of Criminal Justice. And as a result of creating that freestanding Department of Criminal Justice, we also added additional faculty resources. And now today, we've recently gained the approval by the Board of Governors to establish our first Master's in Criminal Justice and a new PhD in Criminal Justice as well. That would not have happened if we had not made that tough decision, even in the midst of much of the opposition to making that decision back during that window of time. I'm also excited, just last month, the Board of Governors approved a new doctorate in nursing practice as well on our campus. Who would imagine 5-7 years ago that we would be preparing to offer a PhD in criminal justice and a doctorate in nursing practice. Now, in 2024, we have 2 new doctoral programs that are still making their way methodically through the process of review and approval in the system office, the PhD in sociology and the PhD in applied psychology. These will create incredible opportunities for us, again, to make a difference in producing a larger array of graduates who hold a PhD, who are moving into the professoriate around the nation in various universities or on our own faculty, or starting their own businesses and practices, or contributing in various ways to educating a broad array of future Aggies on our campus or in other universities as well. We're particularly excited about the fact that we will have increasing opportunities to produce more Black and Brown PhDs in highly critical demand areas to our nation as a whole. And this is the role and important posture for our university as we have made the commitment with enormous support to continue to advance our university toward Research One category, which is a big deal for the university and its future. Next slide. Of course, the cost of all of these investments, supporting scholars who are coming to our university as outstanding undergraduate students or transfer students, or many of the master's and PhD students that we are funding today, costs a lot of money. Investments in all of the new faculty we're bringing on board and helping them get started early in their professional development with research funding, lower teaching loads, startup packages, and the like. And so, as you recall, many of you have contributed to the ongoing annual contributions to our university, but many among you have also invested significantly in a variety of endowments, scholarship endowments, chaired professorships on our campus, joining a broadening array of foundations and corporations and individuals, friends of the university, who have made big investments in our university, growing our endowment from a paltry $24 million, woefully insignificant relative to the needs of our institution, now with about $180 million under advisement for our institution, placing us in a very different category of institutions with endowments, which allows us to compete in a much different way today. We expect that we're going to be closer to $200 million before this year ends. We may not get quite to $200 million, which is what our target was, but we're much closer to that target because we continue to set intentional goals and we work hard to ensure that we're going to realize those targets we set for ourselves year over year. And kudos to Ken Sigmund and his team and the development officers working very closely with the provost and the deans and others on our campus and our board of trustees to continue to raise money that supports our institution. And of course, Eric Muth and his team, working with the provost and the deans and others on our campus, have continued to focus on broadening the array of opportunities for research for our many young new faculty we have recruited to the university over the last 7 to 8 years in particular, but certainly within the last 10 years. These new young faculty members are hungry to do research, get their research started, support their graduate students, and are creating tremendous levels of innovative, creative research, solving societal problems that are critical to society, especially for Black and Brown citizens of our nation, right here in East Greensboro, across the state as a whole, and around the nation. So we're excited about this research growth for our university, having grown from about $61 million in 2020 to now approaching $150 million roughly this past year. Now, out of this research growth and growth in doctoral programs and the production of PhD graduates year over year, those two key items, next slide, the number of PhDs we produce each year and the amount of research expenditures per year are the two criteria we must continue to realize to reach Research One category. The criteria by the Carnegie Foundation suggests that a university must reach and sustain at least $50 million of research expenditures per year. And as you can see, we already exceed the required $50 million with the $62 million we had this past year, and we expect we will continue to see sustained research expenditures year over year in excess of the $50 million threshold by Carnegie Foundation. The foundation also requires that an institution must produce at least 70 PhDs year over year. PhDs in particular must be research doctorates, not doctorates in medicine or dentistry or JDs or PharmDs. They must be specifically PhDs. This past year, we produced 68 PhDs, so we're too short of the minimum criteria to be reclassified as R1. So what I'm saying to you, colleagues, we are very close. We're on the threshold of being reclassified as a Research One university. And I want you to think about that for a moment. where we were just a short 15 years ago, losing enrollment hand over fist, 7 years in a row, to now on the cusp of about to be reclassified by the Carnegie Foundation within the next 2 to 3 years as a Research One university. That's high cotton, colleagues, and sets a high bar, a significant level of achievement for our university. But keep in mind, it's one thing to achieve Research One category. We must continue to make tough decisions, make investments, and continue to advance the institution year over year so that we retain our Research One classification as well. Next slide. And one of the areas that we have made some significant investments in that are tied to, as many of you have been aware, some analysis that's been done recently that suggests that A&T as a doctoral research land-grant institution, 1890 land-grant institution, has been significantly underfunded in comparison to NC State, the other land-grant institution in our state. We have made lots of progress in bringing this underfunding to the attention of the governor and the legislature, the president of the university system, and the board of governors as well. We've shared with them all of the data. We've made it very clear to them that this underfunding, which is an inequity in our minds, has to be addressed. The legislature has agreed that this is an inequity, and they're working with us to begin to make up the differences. And what we've requested very clearly is a glaring inequity. We know very candidly, whether we sue the state or not, we are not going to make up that $2 billion deficit. There's no way the state would ever be able to fund that $2 billion deficit. Filing a lawsuit is not going to yield the outcomes. We've done the necessary assessment to make sure that that has happened. FAMU students sued the state of Florida, as an example, just last year, seeking to force the state legislature of Florida to address the inequities in the land grant funding of Florida's A&M University in comparison to the University of Florida, their 1860 land grant institution. Unfortunately, their lawsuit, as we would have expected, was tossed out just a couple of months ago, indicating that there was insufficient evidence to demonstrate that the state has unfairly treated FAMU. We anticipated that would potentially be an outcome from a lawsuit here in North Carolina as well. We also anticipated that the legislature and their lawyers would have drug out this lawsuit for an inordinate amount of time to potentially ultimately never fund that difference. So we've taken a different approach to working with our legislature, with our board of trustees and the president and the board of governors to begin to bring going forward an equity in funding of our university as they fund NC State in their comparison and the matching dollars that NC State gets for every dollar it gets from ag research and ag extension from the USDA. The state matches their research and extension dollars $5 to 1. We are seeking to move from our 80 cents on the dollar just a decade ago to now a dollar for dollar 2 years ago. And now we're at $2 for every $1 on our way to $5 for every $1 of expenditure, reaching the same level of equity that NC State gets as well. So we're expecting to see that continue to change for our university. And those are recurring dollars. Next slide. And they will allow us then to continue to make strategic investments in personnel, operations, and the critical advancement of our university as we move toward and gain R1 status for our university. And one of the things we continue to use as a basis for supporting the state's investments and continued investments in our university is to continue to tell the story about our university's economic impact. In 2009, our economic impact was approximately $300 million. And about every 3 years, we will do a new economic impact assessment with 2 distinguished faculty in the Dees College of Business. From 300 million, we grew to 600 million, to 900 million, to 1.5 billion. And just this last economic impact statement for our university completed last year demonstrates that we are making a huge impact on the state. For dollars we receive as state appropriations, we in turn return far more to the state of North Carolina through job creation, through expenditures to our state to the tune of $2.4 billion. We are punching way beyond our weight in comparison to other much larger universities in the UNC system whose economic impact is less than our universities as well. Now, you have to understand, from my perspective, we must always focus on competing, delivering outcomes that are critically important, not only to our university, not only to East Greensboro, the Piedmont Triad region, the state as a whole, as well as to the nation. We have the capacity to do far more than most universities with the innovation and creativity that we package at university through our faculty and our staff and our administrative team as overseen by our Board of Trustees. And we need you as alums to continue to hold us accountable to ensuring that we'll continue to advance the institution. Next slide. These array of industries and partners are just a sample of those corporate partners that we continue to build relationships with. Not only are they interested in our graduates, but they also are interested in our research and our innovation that enables those corporate entities to be more competitive, more proficient as well. This coming 2 weeks, within 2 weeks or so, we will have a ribbon cutting at our research park in partnership with Merck to open a Merck facility on our campus that is designed to train biopharma students with certificates that supplement their degrees so that they are able to help staff the new multi-billion-dollar drug manufacturing facility in Durham. And they're counting on us to help them produce the next generation of significant biopharma employees that they know they're going to need to continue to thrive here in North Carolina. Those are the kinds of partnerships and relationships we continue to create as we work with the corporate entities who are electing to move not only to North Carolina, but also looking to move into the Piedmont Triad region in and around Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point, including Toyota Battery, Boom, Honda, Corning. Those entities are expanding significantly in our region because of the impact and presence of our university. Next slide. So we have finalized key areas of legislative priorities that we're sharing not only with our delegation of legislators from the Guilford County area. Just a couple of weeks ago, we shared these priorities with them. We shared them with the president. We've shared them with the Board of Governors. We will go to Raleigh on a regular basis and push this agenda for our university as our priorities, seeking to gain their support to enhance investments in our university. The first item is a focus on expanding the Cheatham White Scholars on our campus. We have 80 scholars today. We're seeking to double that number of Cheatham White Scholars. It is one of the most prestigious scholarship programs on our campus. We support 20 new scholars a year. We want to double that to 40 new scholars a year because of the huge demand of outstanding, highly prepared students who are applying to our university year over year. We do believe that we are getting a boost in our applications, not only because of growing credibility, competitiveness, brand recognition of our institution, but we also believe that we're getting a boost because of the changing mindset of well-prepared African-American students all over the nation who are very familiar with our university today and what the murder of George Floyd back in 2020, as well as the unfortunate loss of affirmative action discussions through the Supreme Court. We think all of these factors, as well as the expanding of our out-of-state cap, are driving our visibility and competitiveness to recruit increasing numbers of largely well-prepared, outstanding students to our university. And finally, we are requesting capital investments. We're asking for $125 million to continue to expand facilities to accommodate the rapidly growing Harrison College of Health Sciences on our campus. We're also looking for investment of $125 million to replace the old Carver Hall facility that is very inadequate today and will cost far more to renovate, to engage, to accommodate the growing research and innovation through our College of Agriculture and our faculty and staff in that college. And our students are long overdue in having a world-class recreational facility on this campus, multiple basketball courts, rock climbing facilities, workout facilities, and space to accommodate the demands of our students on our campus as well. So we're asking for $160 million to build a highly competitive recreational facility on our campus as well. Next slide. So that completes my update to you. Hopefully it sparked a few questions, and I look forward to being able to respond during the Q&A as well. So thanks very much.
Chancellor, thanks very much. This is Todd Simmons. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for University Relations. We're so grateful that all of you are with us tonight. Such a great crowd and so many questions that are coming in for our esteemed panelists tonight. Our next speaker is our Chief of Staff, Erin Hill-Hart, who also serves as the liaison to the Chancellor's Search Committee, and will be updating us on that search process. Erin?
Thank you, Todd, and good evening, Aggies. I hope all is well. As you've just heard in Chancellor's comments about all of the tremendous growth and accomplishments at the university over the last several years, we have benefited immensely as a university under Chancellor Martin's leadership. He has deservedly announced that he does plan to retire. And so on behalf of the Board of Trustee Chair Gatling and Search Advisory Committee Chair Hilda Penix Ragland, we wanted to just bring you an update on the status of the search. And so this first slide is the early activities or early timeline of the search. Chancellor announced his plans to the Board of Trustees in September. 2 weeks later, that Search Advisory Committee was named and stood up. And it is a 13-member committee that is prescribed by UNC policy that we will get to in just a moment. We thought it would be helpful to know that 6 of those search committee members are A&T alums, 4 are current or former Board of Trustee members, and then our SGA president and faculty and staff Senate chairs are also a member of that committee. That committee first met on November 6th. Next slide. And so here is that advisory committee makeup. Again, it's prescribed in the policy. The new policy was passed just last May to prescribe exactly the positions and representatives that are on that. So you can see some familiar names. Hilda Penix Ragland is the Search Advisory Committee Chair and is our immediate past chair of the Board of Trustees. Chair Kim Gatling is also a member. We have 2 representatives from the Board of Governors, the chair himself, Randy Ramsey, and then Pearl Burris-Floyd, who has been the liaison and a friend of the university for several years. Willie Deese and others are also listed. Peter Hans, president of the system, and the chancellor of NC State, as the policy does require that a sitting or retired chancellor from the UNC system also participate as a part of the search. And so the role of that search advisory committee is to receive input from a wide range of stakeholders. And you probably remember this process yourself. We invited alums to several listening sessions. I think alums were the largest group. We had 3 different listening sessions: students, faculty, staff, community members, our affiliated entities, so AAF, Hall of Fame, and others. Business leaders were all invited to listening sessions so that we could build that leadership statement and prospectus. There was also an opportunity to submit suggestions anonymously through the Chancellor Search website so that could be used to craft a leadership statement, which was also part of the role of the Search Advisory Committee. Obviously, to consider the qualifications of candidates and conduct interviews together with the search firm, and then propose an unranked slate of at least 3 qualified candidates for consideration by A&T's board. Our board will then nominate at least 3 unranked candidates to the system president, who will then submit one nominee to the Board of Governors for election. Next slide. And so here's some more details about how the search is progressing. So back in December is when we secured the search firm. We're using Storbeck Search. That was secured by a national search process through the RFP process. The position was initially advertised back in December. Then in January, we held those listening sessions that I just shared. By February, the prospectus was released. So that was the full 15-page document where we have a photo here on the right. That is still up on the Chancellor Search website for those who are interested in what was contained in there. That leadership prospectus did incorporate the feedback from those listening sessions. So again, thank you so much for joining those. The priority deadline was February 29th, and the search firm continued to build the applicant pool throughout February. Next is where we are now. So the timeline since February through April is on the next slide. And what's happening throughout this since February throughout April is the review and prioritization of candidates for initial interviews. Conducting initial candidate interviews will also happen by the end of April. Conducting the on-campus interviews will happen, and there will be an opportunity for both internal and external stakeholders to participate in that process. And the Search Advisory Committee is expected to recommend at least 3 unranked candidates to the board by April. Then through May, the Board of Trustees is expected to recommend unranked candidates to the system president, who will interview the finalist. Background checks and due diligence will be conducted throughout that process as well. And then by May, the system president will recommend the nominee to the Board of Governors, and the Board of Governors will elect the Chancellor. This link is just a reminder of the Chancellor Search website. The Search Advisory Committee has met 4 times since being charged, and those meetings are noticed. Even if closed sessions have to happen, we do provide that information on the Chancellor Search website. Next slide. So this kind of rather busy slide is the search process that's outlined by the system. To simplify, the top row establishing the Search Advisory Committee, the blue row, has already been completed. And we're about midway of the yellow row, where the Search Advisory Committee and the firm are doing initial interviews, campus interviews, and the like. Next slide. This is just reiterating the process. The Search Advisory Committee is going to screen, recommend at least 3 unranked candidates to the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees will then recommend at least 3 finalists to the president. The president will then interview and submit 1 nomination to the Board of Governors, and then the Board of Governors will elect the chancellor based on the president's nomination. And we do like to remind the state law that governs the Chancellor search process. So applicant information is confidential for any discussions and deliberations about applicants. So you may notice that even when meetings are noticed, some information has to be held in closed session so that the committee can discuss with complete candor the qualifications of those candidates. The 4th bullet is what we like to emphasize, is that the confidentiality requirement does not end when the search is complete. It actually is forever. So that stands forever, that the applicant information must be kept confidential. Any people that engage the candidates are doing NDAs or non-disclosure agreements so that that process is kept confidential, and the penalties are listed there. I think the next slide just goes into detail a little bit more about how it specifically pertains to all applicants, but to the Chancellor search process is what is here. The information included isn't limited to personnel information. It also includes attorney-client privilege and other things. Just a reminder that if there are further questions that can't be gathered from the Chancellor Search website, the Search Advisory Committee Chair is Hilda Penix Ragland, who's the spokesperson for the committee and is happy to answer questions. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Erin, thanks very much. Selecting a new chancellor is our most important work right now, and I think we can all agree that that job is in very good hands. As we've heard many times so far, Chancellor has been our leader for 15 years now. So now you'll hear from University Advancement Vice Chancellor Ken Sigmund, who will speak about an effort to ensure that Chancellor Martin's name and legacy remain prominent in Aggie land for generations to come. Ken?
Yeah, thank you, Todd, and thank you again, Aggies, for being here. It's always a delight to see so many of you actively engaging with the university. And I do want to talk about some great opportunities to honor the legacy of Chancellor Martin and his wife, Davida. But also, before that, just want to say thank you for continuing your generous support for the university. You saw the endowment growth numbers. We've increased scholarships by over 100%, and we've also grown our endowed professorships, and now rank in the top third of the UNC system in terms of money raised each year. And so thank you again for that generous support, because you can see the difference it makes in the life of the university and those people that we serve. So thank you. Next slide, please. So what do you get? The man that's done everything, right? We hope to have two initiatives that we're going to announce at the gala in May. And one of those is an endowed scholarship that is going to honor both Chancellor Martin and Mrs. Martin through an endowed legacy scholarship that will support students university-wide and be a perpetual investment in our future. And we obviously wanted to make sure that Mrs. Martin was included, because, as you know, it's always a team. Chancellor Martin is certainly, the head of the university, but often the spouse is involved and is heavily engaged in the process as well. So we will have this opportunity, and you're beginning to see these solicitations in our social media feeds and from our student callers and from our solicitations for the spring. So please take a look at that. If you haven't already made your philanthropic gift for the year, I think one of these would be a great opportunity, but we're always welcoming you to add to your philanthropic giving as well to support these. Next slide. And obviously, Chancellor Martin has a strong legacy in engineering. And not only as a faculty chair in engineering, but also as the Dean of Engineering before rising to the rank of Chancellor. And so the second piece of this is a great way to honor the Chancellor through an endowed distinguished professorship in engineering. And both of these, we have a goal of $1 million each. And we are well on our way to making those happen. So again, thank you to those who have already responded and participating in these. And we hope that this will end up being a what we would call in our business a super chair that could eventually be for a faculty chair or the dean of the college. So would invite you to think about, again, your philanthropic giving and take an opportunity to review these and make a difference through your philanthropy, but also a perpetual investment in the future of the university, and honor the Chancellor's legacy and his strong legacy of service to the university. So next page, please. So this will take you to, if you go to our giving website, you will see that opportunity there as well. And we have revised our website so that not only can you maybe make some pre-selected gifts, but type in any amount that you want to. And then under designation, we've added a search feature. So all you have to do is start typing in keywords for what you're looking for. And in this case, either the Legacy Endowed Scholarship or the Endowed Professorship in Engineering, and make your gift directly on the website. If you're not able to attend the gala, which leads to the next slide. Obviously, we have this gala planned for May 18th, really focusing on the scholarship piece. But there's also an opportunity to play a round of golf with the Chancellor. Now, they're going to probably limit it to foursomes, so not everybody can be in the same group, but you can certainly be on the same course at the same time. There are going to be some limited seats available for the gala, so I would encourage you to be ready for when they are available on April 5th to go ahead and make your purchase. It will be fully tax deductible. And you see that information there on the side on how to either call or go online to not only reserve the round of golf, but also participate in the gala by buying seats at the event. And that's going to be, again, at the Grandover on May 18th. So we hope we can see as many of you there. We would love to accommodate thousands and thousands, because I know there would be an interest, but unfortunately, we don't have a big enough venue that we can do that many people. But we hope as many of you that can make it will be there. Next slide, please. And of course, Todd has already posted in the chat the link to provide well wishes to Chancellor Martin. So you've got that link, but if you need to, you lose it, just go to leadership under the university's homepage and into the Chancellor, and then the retirement page. And you certainly be able to add your well wishes there. And I did see in the chat earlier that someone asked if the Chancellor liked lemon pound cake. So if you want to send that to my attention, I'll make sure it gets passed along. There may be 1 or 2 slices missing, but we'll make sure that the Chancellor gets that. So again, thank you for all your support each and every year, but also thanks for your support of these 2 very significant initiatives that are going to honor the legacy of Chancellor, I'll say it, the longest serving Chancellor in the system, and we would appreciate your help in helping us reach these goals. And of course, you always know how to reach me or my team in University Advancement, so we're here to assist you in any way that we can. So again, thank you for all that you do for us.
Thanks, Ken. And for any of you golfers out there who are on the fence about the Grandover golf event, just remember you'll be on the course with the reigning honorary chair of the PGA Wyndham Championship. So sign up today. Lots of questions are coming into the Q&A. Keep them coming. Please post as many as you can, and we'll get to them following the formal program. As all of you Aggies know, for a university that is growing and developing as rapidly as is A&T, you can bet there's a lot going on in the Division of Academic Affairs, which is the heart and soul of this institution. So here to give us an up-to-minute report on all that activity is our Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Dr. Tanya Smith-Jackson.
Thank you so much, Todd. We're not going to give all of the updates that we could for academic affairs. It's quite a large division, over 1,500 employees. We have a lot going on, but we're going to attempt to make sure that we highlight some very important items for you today as an update since our last meeting together in the Alumni Town Hall. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve under the great leadership of Chancellor Harold Martin. Academic affairs, I think, would not be what it is today were it not for his insights and for his ideas and his very strong innovation, his mindset of innovation. So we are thankful for that. We have some updates to provide to you today, but we have boxed them in. What we would like to do is first, in recognition of having being at our 1-year mark for the strategic plan, the 2030 strategic plan, we will have Dr. Yin and Associate Vice Provost Jonathan Martin provide you with more information there. And then we're going to have a discussion on student success, which is really why we're all here. Student success coming from Associate Vice Provost for Student Success, Regina Williams-Davis. And then I'm going to close out with just a few thoughts about the academic affairs, how we've grown and how the enterprise has evolved over time with the assistance of many people. All right, so I'll turn this over to Alex Yin and Jonathan Martin.
Thank you, Provost Smith-Jackson. And, hearing all the great things that have happened under Chancellor Martin's leadership, I want to remind folks that excellence does not happen by happenstance. And one of the brilliance of Chancellor Martin's leadership is doing strategic planning. And this is an update on the strategic planning and how he has built an inclusive culture so that everybody can be involved in this process. And I'll remind you, after 1 year with Preeminence 2030 goals, where feedback was collected from administrators, staff, faculty, students, alumni, that we came up with these 5 goals: transformative engagement, Goal 2, leadership and innovation, performance excellence, collaborative inclusive culture, and responsive scholarship and impact. Next slide, please. And the key in all this is that like when it's about achieving a vision, but doing it together. And so what we're doing really now is all about integrating strategic planning, transformative initiatives, blueprint for belonging, and accreditation reaffirmation report. And instead of just always doing, we're also creating a path for a chance to reflect and celebrate. And by doing this, we're giving people a chance to really develop a stronger organization intelligence among us, so that we can decide on how to create more sustainable infrastructure for our continued success, but also provide a sense of pride in the unit, because we are always doing, and sometimes we forget to celebrate what we have done. And more importantly, by building these reports and having that self-reflection, we are sharing and building collaborations across units, and really emphasizing that it is not one person that helps us achieve excellence, but it's really about doing it together. And when we do all these things together, we truly become an institution that is a preeminent land-grant institution, where high-achieving scholars are engaged in transformative teaching and learning, civic outreach, interdisciplinary research, and innovative solutions to global challenges. And one of those things that I want to kind of pass off to Jonathan is his work in transformative initiatives and how that impacts our strategic planning.
Next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you, Alex, and good evening, alumni leaders. Dr. Yin shared the importance of the integration of the strategic plan with functional areas across the campus, and that certainly includes the transformation office. It also includes our HBCU transformation project, which we're one of 17 member schools of that project. As guided by the strategic plan, and specifically, as Alex mentioned, Goal 1, which focuses on transformative engagement, and specifically Goal 3, performance excellence, we share a critical focal point of many with the HBCU transformation project, which is enhancing operational efficiency for HBCUs. One of those initiatives, which you see on the slide, of 22 active initiatives, is the Robotic Process Automation Initiative. In essence, RPA focuses on enhancing operational efficiencies by transforming business processes through redesign and intelligent automation. We use digital workers, we call them robots or bots, to do the work of humans, repetitive actions that bots can do more efficiently. Some of our key accomplishments, I won't name all of them. We focused on assessing over 40 processes here at the university across over 8 departments. The business departments have committed anywhere from 10 to 12 hours per week over a 12-week period to make sure we implement the automations. We also developed a governance and operating model that once again integrates various departments on campus, including ITS. We've completed in-depth due diligence for 16 to 17 processes, which you'll see listed over on the right. And we've focused on determining specific go-live dates for those automations for the overall implementation of the plans. So in summary, I'd like to point out that out of those 16 processes for automation, 6 of those are focused on financial aid, which obviously is a student-facing functional group. This allows us to use this efficiency tool for a more direct and positive benefit to the students, contributing to this overall perspective of cross-functional partnership for overall student success. So with that being said, I'll yield to my colleague, Dr. Williams-Davis, to speak more in depth about the university's plan for student success. Next slide.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate that. I absolutely love sharing about student success. So yes, I am Regina Williams-Davis, the Associate Vice Provost for Student Success. And I thank you for the opportunity to share some information with you today. There's so much for Aggies to be proud of, especially under the leadership of Chancellor Martin. For instance, the first-year retention rate nationwide, the first-year persistence rate for all students is 76%. But as you can see from the graph, we at North Carolina A&T are at 80%. A&T is above the national average, and we increased 6% from the prior year. A&T ranks number 270 among 433 national universities, and that's according to the U.S. News and World Report of Best Colleges of 2023. A&T ranks alongside Georgia State, North Dakota State, Boise State, and several other campuses. Looking at the graduation rate, it's 62% for 2022 for the 6th year, and 68% for all public four-year institutions. However, for A&T, the 6-year rate climbed from 43% to 53% over the past decade. That's 10 percentage points. The college scorecard published by the U.S. Department of Education shows our 8-year rate at 54%, which ranks A&T number 7 among all HBCUs, and Spelman is number 1. Next slide, please. Here on this slide, I wanted to share some successful intervention strategies that we've employed, and I'm going to focus on the impact column. Graduation applications just this spring increased by 13.6% for spring 24 compared to spring 2023. And this is due to some of the intentional outreach to eligible students that for some reason just did not apply to graduate, but now they have. The next one, the pass rate of the courses that were as low as 66.7% are now above 80%. And this is due to the intentional ask of the provost to college deans requiring course improvement plans to be executed. Course completion rates, they have improved from 84 to 88.7%. And this is an increase from our pre-pandemic rates. Last summer, we started a Math Scholars Institute to give students who needed to repeat a math course, because you know how important math is, they could do it over the summer through a program that was designed to enhance math skills, but primarily it was there to rebuild the confidence in students that we already knew could be successful. And this assisted with their overall grade point averages. We have been conducting a recruit back campaign, which has proven to be very successful. 63% of the fall students that were not registered to return for spring came back after our faculty, staff, and advising teams reached out, letting these students know that we want them here at North Carolina A&T. And this has contributed to the student body growth. It will contribute to retention of our continuing students, and it reduces the potential number of students that would stop out. Next slide, please. There are many contributions toward improved performance, and A&T has been heavily focused on student success over the past 8 years through many programs. And some of them are the Center for Academic Excellence, Academic Advising Enhancements, Black Male Student Success Initiative, Aggies at the Goal Line, which actually invites back students who dropped out with 90 credits already completed. And so we invite them to come back to finish those last few so they can graduate. The Quality Enhancement Program, which is our critical math support. Of course, there have been major investments from higher education emergency relief funds. And then we are now part of the membership of the University Innovation Alliance, and that is the leading national coalition of public research universities, which is committed to increasing the number and diversity of college graduates in the United States. And most recently, the opening of the University Student Success Office, and this is the avenue used to operationalize student success priorities, strategies, and monitor progress. We are excited about an activity we are currently planning since April is Financial Literacy Month. And so we are having a Financial Literacy Festival, April 18th. Please save the date. We'll have games, music, food, but we'll also have Aggie TED Talks about money matters, investments, student debt, budgeting, credit scores, and the new FAFSA. It will be from 5 to 7 in the parking lot of the Health Center. And so again, there's so much to share about success of our graduates and undergraduate students because Aggies do and Aggies succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, and thank you, team. As you can see, there are a number of people who work behind the scenes to make sure that academic affairs, that engine is running well. I wanted to just close with just a concept so that we're all on the same page about the Division of Academic Affairs, and that so that you can understand the many things that happen and also the many people who are behind in terms of making this engine run. So we are operating in three areas. We have a knowledge enterprise, right? And what we do is create and disseminate, apply knowledge. It's teaching and learning. You know, we've had a number of new academic programs that the Chancellor talked about. We are conducting cluster hires for faculty who come in around a particular area. Artificial intelligence is one of them. The other is health disparities. And they work together in research and teaching and engagement as a team around those two concepts. We have a new transformation office. We have the University Student Success Office, of course. We've gone to a more centralized model for professional advisors, at least in the first year for students. And we established an honors college, as you remember. In addition to that, though, along with the Division of Research, we have the faculty and staff and students who are conducting research on this campus. And as you know, that's what's necessary to get us to R1. So the human capital and the energy behind research occurs, of course, is in relationship or in a partnership with the Division of Research. We have seed grants. We now have a graduate funding model so that our doctoral and master students can focus on their studies and focus on patents and focus on publishing, all the things necessary to really make sure that we are operating on our mission, right? To advance the human condition and facilitate economic growth, but also that is one of the contributions to R1 status. And then finally, we are a land-grant institution, so academic affairs is definitely committed to service and the engagement enterprise, and those partnerships are important. We also have a new Office of Strategic Partnerships. Vice Chancellor Tim Miner runs that office, and all that helps to make sure that our partnerships are strategic and in line with what Dr. Yin just showed you as it relates to the strategic plan goal 1. We are designated as a community engaged university. We are really an anchor institution, and we have been recognized by the Association for Public and Land Grant Universities as an innovation and economic prosperity designated institution as well. These are national recognitions that tell you that our university is engaged in serving the community and using our resources and talent to do so. But all in all, student success is central to all of this. So you see that red arrow going into the center. The better we operate in integrating all of these different areas, the better our outcomes, particularly around student success. So I first need to make sure that you understand there's a whole expert team behind all of this that happens. It is not one person, it is not me, it is all of the folks who collectively come together to make this academic affairs system work. And I want to thank all of those individuals. I won't name them, it's over 1,500 employees, but faculty and staff, our students, our deans, our associate deans, our department chairs, directors, vice provosts, associate vice provosts, et cetera. I've named them all here, and our vice chancellors who are on our cabinet, whose units also make all of this possible. But in addition to that, I want to thank our governance bodies in partnership with the Faculty Senate, the Staff Senate, and our Student Government Association. It's their ideas and their inputs that help us to improve over time. And last but not least, I want to thank all of you, all of our alumni. I want to thank you for your donations, for scholarships. Our students deserve to have that support. They have earned it. They have gotten here. They need your support. So thank you for those who are really helping us in that regard, and also for the endowed professorships that you're providing, because we need more of those so that we can, again, push our research engine and be even more aligned with our mission, because we have the resources behind professors who are going to bring that talent to the university. And thankful for all of the other fundraising, Aggie Rides, which is also, I think, going to be on March or May 18th, all the wonderful things that you're doing as alumni to make sure that we are well supported in the academic enterprise overall. You are very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Provost Smith-Jackson and Doctors Davis, Martin, and Yen. You know, across higher ed today, Aggies, universities, and colleges are really struggling to deal with artificial intelligence. But at A&T, our provost is an AI expert and a former directorate leader at the National Science Foundation. So you're in good hands. As strong as A&T is now academically, we are every bit as strong financially. That's why we endured the COVID pandemic without even a pause in our growth and development. Our next presenter is the pro who leads our financial management, our CFO and Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance, Robert Pompey. Robert?
Great. Good afternoon, my fellow Aggies, and thank you so much, Todd. My name's Robert Pompey, a proud graduate of the class of 1987. One of our fellow alums in the chat says it's a great day to be an Aggie, and in large part because of the contributions of our Chancellor. And I do agree, our Chancellor has been fantastic, and I thank him so much for his leadership every time I get a chance to. We're also special because of you. I'm oftentimes out with my son, and I have my A&T shirt on, and inevitably I'll get an Aggie pride. And he says, there's something special about you Aggies, and there definitely is. And for that, I thank you. Thank you for your support of our university. I thank you for your contributions. I thank you for all that you do to make us special. I'm going to cover 3 topics with you very briefly in my 10 minutes that I have with you. I'm between you and one of our favorite topics, athletics, and then answering your questions, and then going on about our day. So I will be brief. But first, I want to talk to you about our financial status. Then I want to talk to you about some of our student-centered initiatives. And then finally talk to you about some of the capital projects that we have that are ongoing now, and a 1 or 2 that we'll have in the future. So again, thank you so much for your time. We are very strong financially as a university. We have total assets of $900 million. We'd love to get up to $1 billion before the Chancellor leaves, and we'll work hard to get there. We talked about our endowment. We have the highest endowment market value of all public HBCUs. Total revenues last year were $450 million. And we have a Moody's credit rating of AA3, and that's the highest of all HBCUs on a standalone basis. The credit rating is very consistent with your credit score. And so that says we have good credit and folks want to lend us money and they want to do business with us. So overall, the university is in great shape from a financial perspective. Next slide. So, whenever one of the hardest challenges that I have here as a Vice Chancellor and Chief Business Officer here at A&T is when our students complain about our food. I think about our Williams cafeteria back in the day, and when I go and I see our Williams dining hall now and all the offerings and the different things that we have, and that says not good, I really have a hard time understanding. Believe it or not, we now have a full service Chick-fil-A in our dining hall area on the ground floor of our dining hall. We opened that on January 23rd. You can see the seating capacity. You can see the weekly sales that we've had. We had one of our sister institutions down the street in Durham, North Carolina, that was bragging to us one day and said, you know what, we had X thousand sales from Chick-fil-A in this week. And we said we had that in one day. So just a credit to our students and all the things that we do. Have a full menu, including breakfast and mobile ordering. Very consistent with Chick-fil-A out in the in our different cities and different locations. It is jam-packed here at our campus, just like out in the city, but just outstanding. Is for us old Aggies. Well, we didn't know about Chick-fil-A in North Carolina in 1983 to 87. But just imagining us having a full service Chick-fil-A is incredible to fathom. Next slide. We also have robot deliveries that we instituted during the pandemic, and we've kept going. We do charge a small delivery fee, but since October of 2020, we've had 160,000 deliveries through these robots. It's been a game changer for us. It's giving our students the exposure to cutting edge technology, in addition to really promoting social distancing and doing some great things for us. So we are awfully proud about this and the partnership with Starship. I think we have over 60 plus robots. When we start having Chick-fil-A allows us to deliver their food, we may have to double that number. But just something that's really been a game changer here for us at the university. Next slide. We have a new bookstore provider, Follett. that started with us in October of this year. One of the things that we realized as you know, as those of us that have had college students, those of us that were in college, that textbooks can be quite expensive. So one of the things that we initiated during the pandemic and we've continued to initiate is basically a rental program where students are paying $18.75 per credit hour. Overall goal is by whenever the first day of class starts here at our university, we want our students to have all their textbooks. We don't have them to have to make a decision of, do I buy my textbook or do I do this, because textbooks are so expensive. So we have an example here with an accounting for MBA book. The regular price of this book is $291. Through our textbook program, where you're paying $18.75 a credit per credit hour, our students will pay $56.25 for this book. Again, for us old Aggies, we used to have textbook rentals back in the day, so we're actually going back to the future. But it's been a pretty extensive game changer again for our students, where they're saving a lot of money on the textbooks. It's allowing them to be ready that first day of class and to not make these hard decisions. So a very successful program with us, a very successful partnership with Follett so far. Next slide. Blue and Gold Marching Machine. We are all very proud of our Blue and Gold Marching Machine, and they do so many great things for our university. One of the things that we've done is we've endeavored to say, how can we support our Blue and Gold Marching Machine even on a more extensive base than ever? Chancellor has asked us to have a task force formed back in 2023, really evaluating where we are and where we want to be. And so I'm really proud to talk to you about some of the initiatives that we've put in place. As you all know, our band participated in the Tournament of Roses Parade in January of this year. This is an over $1 million investment by our university to support our band. They were outstanding. We received so much positive press for this, and we were really proud to be able to sponsor our band and have them go there. One of the things we also realized that we needed to do is to provide more scholarship support on a standalone basis for the members of our band. And this will go along with other scholarship opportunities that our students have. But so for this year that we're in now, this academic year, we've increased that allotment to $350,000. Next year, that allotment will go up to $620,000. So over the next 5 years from now until about 2028, our goal is to get that number up to approximately $1.2 million. And this will allow our band leadership to really fund a number of scholarships for our students and to really substantially pay for their tuition as far as that's concerned. So again, something that's showing our commitment to our marching band. As you can imagine, with a 250 member band, there's a need for student success and student support. We had one person that was doing student success and other things. What we've done is that we've now dedicated 2 positions to student success. So these are coordinators that are working with our students on an academic basis, providing assistance, making sure they're doing the things that they need to be doing. Training table, we're going to be starting this fall. And what a training table is really a specialized menu for members of our marching band, very consistent to how we have a training table for members of our athletics program. What in my mind, I consider our band to be athletes, and I call them band athletes. And if you can see all that they're doing on the field, from performing to playing to marching to all those things, you have to be an athlete to do those and to do those very successfully. So it also requires that we feed them as we feed athletes. And so this fall, we're starting a training table where our practice will end at a certain period of time. Our band members would come to our dining hall. They'll have a specialized menu all aimed at maximizing their performance. And finally, one of the things that we're also going to be implementing and have this summer is that we're actually going to have an athletic trainer dedicated to our band. Again, these are athletes. They have a lot of extensive activities. They have bumps and bruises, as you can imagine. And we're going to have a dedicated trainer dedicated professional that's helping them and tending to their needs and working very closely with their conditioning coaches and other individuals there. So the next thing for us as it relates to the band is that we are looking to renovate the building that they're in. We're going to perform a very extensive renovation. There's going to be more to come with that. We have a few other projects that we need to get underway, and then that will be the next one that we will be petitioning for our band to have a renovated facility. We're probably going to be in the neighborhood of $40+ million, this project. Next slide. So finally, I want to talk to you about some of the projects that we have underway. Blueford Residence Hall. What I can say to you, my fellow alums, is this is not Scott Hall. This will be a 400-bed facility, suite style and traditional style. If you had the pleasure of staying in Scott Hall, you kind of recall that we had payphones at the end of the halls. They're going to have kitchens at the end of their halls in each floor. They're going to have gaming opportunities, laundry opportunities, lounging opportunities, a dining concept on the ground floor. This is something that we're starting on now, and we look forward to having it complete in 2026. We had a groundbreaking very recently for it, so we're looking forward to it. From a location standpoint, if you think about our Williams Auditorium, and if you were to look across the street, looking north, where we used to have a lot of houses, we've endeavored to buy a number of those houses. We've cleared an area that's right across from Williams Auditorium. That will be the location of this new residence hall. So we're looking forward to inviting you all when we have our ribbon cutting and grand opening, et cetera, et cetera. Next slide. One of the things that we're going to have at our farm, and our farm is very much a research farm, is we're now constructing a community and urban food complex. And one of the things that this complex will have is really going to be used to kind of connect the farmer to the grocery store. So we have a lot of great farmers that are doing some really good things. And what they need help is, how do I have a business plan that would help me commercialize my crops and some of the things that I'm doing? I don't have a business plan that will enable me to be the best version of myself that I can be. So we're going to marry our farmers with our research, with business plans, and with enabling them to maximize their profits. I'm the grandson of some small farmers in Eastern North Carolina, and I so wish my grandparents would have had a complex like this to go to kind of understand farming techniques and to maximize their business operations. Most importantly, or equally importantly, or very importantly, what we're going to have here is we're going to bring back Aggie ice cream. We have a very robust dairy function at our farm. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have Aggie ice cream that we're going to be selling here. And so we look forward to that and welcome you when we have our grand opening. This is probably a 12 to 18-month project. We're also modernizing our steam plant. We've made the decision to just completely renovate this steam plant all from the inside out. The only thing that will look old will be the outside of the building. Everything inside will be new. We're working on this right now and anticipate over the next 9 months to have a fully renovated steam plant. So more to come as far as that's concerned. Next slide. War Memorial Stadium. So for some of our Aggies that are pre-1980, this stadium was not only the baseball stadium, but it was a football stadium. We finally have ownership of the stadium after a number of years. So now we're going to embark upon some badly needed renovations. First things that we'll be working on is the structure. We're going to be relocating the direction of the baseball field itself, doing some renovations there, taking some stands away that we used to use when we were walking up and down for the football games. And one of the other things that we're going to be doing is we're going to actually relocate our softball field to this stadium. So a lot of where you see these tennis courts now, we're going to relocate our softball field and really have a softball complex where they can go and have a hitting practice, their offices and all those things. So just being state of the art. So this is a multi-phase project that we're looking forward to, with the first phase kicking up in earnest this summer with things that we're doing in the stands and some of the life safety types of measures. Next slide. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you and appreciate your attention.
Thanks very much, Robert. And Aggies, Mr. Pompey mentioned our new campus bookstore partner, Follett. And I want to point out that every bit of Aggie retail swag you purchase at the bookstore or other retail outlets around town or online, they generate royalties that come back to A&T and go directly to student scholarships 100%. So check out that new merch. The quality and selection is better than ever before. And in case you haven't noticed, Aggies are on a roll, from our women's basketball team to our bowling team to our world-class track and field teams. Our student athletes are absolutely killing it. The task of managing the athletics enterprise at a time when NIL deals and sports betting are bringing major change to the college athletics environment is no small task. Here to catch us up on the latest in Aggie athletics is our final presenter, Mr. Earl Hilton, our Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. Earl?
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate that introduction. And let me add my amen to the expressions of gratitude and appreciation that have been made by my colleagues over the course of the evening, and certainly add my appreciation for the direction and leadership provided by our Chancellor for the last 15 years. Certainly everything I'm about to talk about has been made possible by his innovative and creative and fearless leadership. Crystal, please get this picture off the screen. It hurts me to look at it. I know it must bother everyone else. I'm going to touch on a number of topics quickly. I'm likely going to create more questions than I'm going to provide answers. I would love to engage with those of you who have questions that we won't be able to address tonight in the coming days and weeks. This is a timeline describing the capital campaign, the athletics capital campaign. You will notice that we are in this blue section down his blue line. We're still conducting the feasibility study interview process, interviewing a number of alumni to determine how we need to move forward in this space. We anticipate finishing that process by the end of April. And at that point, having a document to share and to digest and to provide some direction for us as we look forward to initiating the capital improvements that we need in athletics to support our tremendous student athletes. So more to come on the capital campaign. It's still happening. This interview process has taken longer than we anticipated. I did not want anyone to feel like it had slipped off the table because you hadn't heard about it. So more to come on the capital campaign. Crystal, can you move to the next slide, please? All right, I would like to try to level set tonight some of the changes that we've seen over the last 8 years in terms of how student athletes are funded. Advance one time, please, Crystal. Historically, we've had scholarships. This is what we've considered a full grant and aid, what we all understand as room, board, tuition, fees, and books. That has been, since we became a Division I institution, the standard definition and the only way that institutions or boosters are able to support student athletes. You see the sources of funding: the Department of Athletics, the Aggie Athletic Foundation, the Hall of Fame, and endowments have been used, continue to be used to provide these scholarship opportunities for our student athletes. In 2015, go ahead and advance again. In 2015, the NCAA passed legislation that allowed schools to begin to provide what they called cost of attendance, which was the difference between room, board, tuition, fees, and books and what it actually costs to attend an institution, somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 additional dollars. In June of 2021, with the Alston case, when the Supreme Court found that the NCAA's limitations on institutional support of academic benefits for student athletes violated the Sherman Act, schools began to be able to provide enhanced or augmented academic support for their student athletes, up to about $5,980, almost $6,000 a year. Now, A&T has been active in both of these spaces since it became legal to do so. We have certainly done cost of attendance for some of our student athletes, and we are as of this year, we're beginning to play in the augmented academic support space or the Alston space with our student athletes to provide some additional resources for them. One more time, please, Crystal. Finally, 9 days after the Alston case was decided in July of 2021, the NCAA released interim guidance on name, image, and likeness, the opportunity for student athletes to monetize their name, image, or likeness, or NIL. Now, the interim guidance that was given forbade athletics departments or institutions to be engaged in NIL activities, directly or indirectly. In January of this year, the NCAA signaled that they were going to propose legislation that dramatically liberalized those opportunities, meaning that we as an institution could step into this space more aggressively. Still can't write checks to student athletes, but we can be much more involved in establishing or setting up a collective. We stepped into that space. We have a collective at A&T. The Pride of A&T Collective is what it is called. Pride of A&T Collective. It's functional. It's active right now. We had a very soft launch last week to a few selected individuals. We have one more meeting on Tuesday to talk about the website. I've seen the website. I've seen the demo of the website. I think it's pretty easy to use and user-friendly. There will be a harder launch of that once we get the last bits of information loaded into the website, and then it will be up and running for us to use. Our student athletes have the opportunity to receive money from all three of these revenue streams, through scholarships, through cost of attendance, or Alston money, or augmented academic support, or obviously name, image, and likeness. Next slide, please, Crystal. Now, again, this is going to give you a picture of what a sustainable collective might look like. Money support coming in from the left-hand side, alumni, the Greensboro community, businesses, donors who want to be involved in the collective, and then ROI activities coming out the other side, joint to student athletes. Now, the difference, and again, I'm happy to come and speak to any group or individual who wants to understand this more clearly. The difference is the money that's going to the collective is not tax deductible. The money that goes to the AAF or to the Hall of Fame or to cost of attendance or to A&T directly is tax deductible or tax exempt, or those are all 501c3 organizations. The collective is not a 501c3 organization. The donations to the collective may be addressable as legitimate business expenses. If you are connecting with our student athletes for marketing purposes, you and your accountant can figure that out. But if you have a business that would benefit from being associated with, connected to a team or an individual student athlete, the collective is the way to go. Again, more to just talk about this as we go forward. Happy to answer any questions. Next slide, please, Crystal. All right, we've had some questions about our conference affiliation. And so I want to talk for a few minutes about where we are and what it means. We're in the CAA. In the fall of 2024, fall we just came out of, our football team and our men's basketball program earned their highest single semester team GPA in our history as a team. Men's basketball earned every available APR point during that semester. That's never happened for us. We have never had our men's basketball program earn every APR point that was available during the fall semester. Now, I can't tell you yet whether it's because of the student athletes we're recruiting or because of the coaches that we've hired who are focusing appropriately on academics. But I can tell you the space that we're in from a conference perspective allows us to recruit those coaches and recruit those athletes. That is the difference for us. Go ahead and hit that screen one more time. There's one more box to pop up, Crystal. Okay. Athletically, let's look at conference rankings. Again, these are 2024 rankings of the strength of individual conferences. If you look across from left to right, the CAA, we have 14 football FCS conferences. CAA is number 3 this year. Another conference we remember of in the past was number 8. Another conference we remember of the past was number 11 this year. So we were 3 out of 14. You see where the others stacked up. Men's basketball the same way. 33 conferences, Division I. We were 18. Former conference 19, another conference 32. Women's basketball, CAA is 20, 31, 30. You see how that reads. Women's basketball is important because, as Todd suggested, we had some experiences this year that we've never had before. Look at that next box on the right, postseason. The CAA had 5 women's teams in postseason. Another conference that we remember of had 3, and then another conference had 1. Everybody lost their NCAA game. The CAA teams and the WBIT and the WNIT, all 4 of those teams won their first round game. No other participant from any of the other conferences that we are looking at won any games in any postseason competition this year. We're the only conference. We won 2 postseason games. Not only did we win, we got a chance to host 3 postseason matches. First time in our history. That's because of the company that we're keeping. A third of the CAA women's basketball teams were in postseason. 4 of them won their first round game. Now, what does that do for us as an institution? That's 2 more weeks of practice that our young ladies have that other schools don't have. That's 3 more games in championship tournament competition that our coaches have under the belt. They didn't have that no one else had. The experience to coach in a championship environment. And those games, the crowds, the excitement, the electricity in Corbett was palpable. Our young ladies a chance to play in that kind of physically demanding, bruising, punishing atmosphere and win, it will pay off exponentially as we move forward competitively because of the experience that we had. The opportunity to participate in those games and to host them was a significant advantage for us. That's because of where we are from a conference perspective. We have positioned ourselves in a place of strength. I think with the changing landscape and what I see happening in Division I right now and where it appears to be headed, I become more and more comfortable and more convinced that we have made the right decision to position ourselves in a place where we can operate from a position of power and strength. Last slide, please go forward. There are some questions raised about a letter some of you received back in January. We have a problem. It's a good problem to have. We have run out of the ability to take care of all of our Aggie Athletic Foundation donors and the benefits that they qualify for at Aggie Stadium, at Truist Stadium during football season. We just don't have enough tailgate spots to take care of the people who have joined the AAF and have qualified for those spots. And so there were 1,200 reserved seats and about 98 tailgate spots that we have historically held for individuals who were what we call our legacy ticket holders. They were not members of the AAF, but they always bought season books and they always bought tailgate spots. We made a decision so that we could take care of our AAF donors to put those seats and those tailgate spots back in the inventory so that the donors who are supporting athletics will have the opportunity to buy those seats and to buy those tailgate spots at the beginning of the purchase period, the priority purchase period for Aggie Athletic Foundation moving forward. And that's, again, in response to the tremendous support that we have received from our Aggie Athletic Foundation donors and members. That is my report. Todd, thank you.
Thank you so much, Earl.
You bet.
And for everyone who's following along with the bowling team, know that they will begin competition tomorrow in the NCAA tournament. Once again, the women's bowling team, what a dynasty those young student athletes have. So make sure you follow them in their postseason competition. We're going to move into the Q&A now, and we've got a lot of them, I think, as everyone knows. And the first 2 we're going to give to Chancellor Martin. We have an awful lot of comments for Chancellor Martin tonight. We're only going to be able to get to 2 of those, but the first one, Chancellor, is this: what is our sustainability plan in leadership? We want to ensure that our history is reflected in the A&T leadership. So how is that going to happen going forward with the search and the transition, Chancellor?
Great question, Todd. Thanks very much. As each of you heard from Erin Hill Hart summarizing the search process, the search process has been formulated through a really highly competent search committee, well represented by members of our Board of Trustees, whom are also alums of the institution, also very passionate about the institution. And the most significant work they will do as a board is identify a successor. The search generated a significant number of applicants of interest. The search committee narrowed the candidate pool to approximately 10. They were interviewed through a very extensive airport interview process, in-person interview process, that narrowed the candidate pool to 3. Those 3 candidates are now on the campus interviews. They are not really on the campus because we're maintaining all of the searches are managed with a high level of confidentiality. As a consequence, individuals are being interviewed in the area and have an opportunity to come by the campus, drive through the campus, and engage in a significant way. These are 3 highly experienced individuals from whom the president ultimately, with the feedback from the search committee and the campus representatives, students, faculty, staff, business leaders, will have an opportunity to engage in face-to-face intense discussions, will provide feedback to the search committee and subsequently the search committee to the board, who will then confirm and endorse the final 3 unranked candidates, who will then go to the president, Mr. Peter Hans, who's president of the university system. He and his senior staff will review and interview each of the 3 candidates one-on-one. And out of that process, with all of the feedback, the president will select one finalist to advance to the Board of Governors for approval as the next chancellor for the university. I've been asked to interview each of the candidates one-on-one as well, and I will certainly share my feedback through the chair of the search committee and to the president to be included in the process as well. And so we think the process is well-defined and based on all the evidence should yield a highly competent individual with experience who has the capacity to come to the institution and continue our progress. I think the message is clear that there isn't a need to make wholesale changes, but certainly invest in strategies to continue to improve the institution and advance the institution beyond where we are today. Under the guidance of the Board of Trustees, by the way.
Thank you, Chancellor. Another of our alums asks, what are the top 3 key areas that the next Chancellor and the Board of Trustees should keep at the top of the agenda to ensure continued success and upward mobility in ways that we've started over the past 15 years?
I think fundamentally, the university has grown very competitively in enrollment, research, new faculty and staff, new programs. We're now beginning to see investments that are critical to the undergirding of sustaining the continued growth of the institution. For example, the first 10, 11 years of my role as Chancellor of the A&T, we literally had budget cuts. We didn't say a whole lot about that. It was a part of the process. We navigated through those budgets. We pushed ourselves to continue to be strategic and focused on the resources we had, to continue to invest in the most critical areas at the time, to continue to advance the institution. We're now beginning to realize meaningful investments. Over the last 3 years in particular, we've seen meaningful investments in our university. There are very few businesses, private sector, university, government agencies, state agencies of any kind, in my mind, that could have realized the kind of accomplishments we did with declining budgets, declining resources, and still see enormous successes. The big area of focus not only is to continue to sustain resource investments, both public as well as private investments in our university, if we elect and expect to continue to sustain our growth and prosperity. Additionally, those new resources would have to be invested in new personnel. We saw a lot of stress of the university as we continue to grow, And it was critically important for the university to establish a pattern of growth. Any organization has to have a modest level of growth to ensure that the processes you're putting in place, the investments, brand recognition, and the like, are continuing to benefit the organization. We put pressure, though, on key areas of our university where we could not add additional personnel over time that address some of the business processes and practices of the university. We're now beginning to add many of those new positions and hiring new personnel, very experienced personnel, who are joining the university today. IT, HR, enrollment management, student support, housing, and other business functions that are now critical to undergirding the university and its growth today. But if the institution continues to grow, and it should continue to manage modest growth, the institution is going to have to continue to be strong advocates with additional state appropriations and private dollars that we raise to undergird success. As I've always said, excellence is expensive. It really is. And so we really have to continue to raise the funds we're going to need unapologetically to sustain the continued growth and prosperity of our university.
Thank you, Chancellor. Let's move back to Mr. Pompey for our next question about student housing. And this comes from one of our alumni watching the stream tonight on YouTube. This alumnus writes in to say, hello, I'm an Aggie class of 2006, go 2006, and my daughter is currently enrolled at A&T. What is the plan to repair infrastructure, plumbing, heating, AC for our housing operation now and into the future?
Sure. Thank you, Todd. And let me clarify one comment as it relates to dining that I looked in the chat and some of our alums reminded me we didn't have Chick-fil-A, but we had the Parker Brothers on Market Street, and Chick-fil-A has nothing on Parker Brothers. But as it relates to housing, one of the things that we've done a couple things. One, we have contracted with a maintenance organization that is responsible for maintaining in our residence halls. This is something new that we've done because we realize that our residence halls need someone that's worrying about it 24/7 on a day-to-day basis, and we're seeing benefits from this. One of the other benefits that we'll have from having a new residence hall in place is that it will allow us to very strategically perform some extensive renovations on some of our older residence halls. It will allow us to potentially take Curtis Hall offline for a semester and provide some very badly needed renovations and some extensive renovations to that. So our plan is to be very strategic about this, continue to not sacrifice too many beds, but at the same time, keep them up with our outsourced organization and then perform some badly needed extensive renovations. We're also continuing to look at other things like roofs and making those repairs as we continue to go forward. So we'll continue to address that, and it's something that we're very serious about addressing.
Todd, let me add
Sure,
to
please.
Robert's excellent response. And I should say to our alums, I think we've shared this in the past, but over the past 25, 30 years, the leadership of the university, as was done at most HBCUs, sought to maintain as low as possible tuition and fees. They did so to, again, provide an accessible and affordable educational opportunity for African-American students coming from low-income communities, rural communities, and the like. High percentages of our students are first generation from low-income communities. And so there was a desire to maintain and not adjust tuition and fees in any substantial way, while our majority campus partners within the UNC system and around the nation overall were aggressively raising their tuition and fees. So our tuition and fees, while they were moderate and relatively low, we were also not deriving the revenues that we needed. Tuition dollars to invest in our academic programs, to support faculty and staff, technology innovations and the like, nor fees were we able to collect to enhance residence halls, because the state doesn't provide those funds to support residence halls or most of your infrastructure on your campus, for example, or athletics facilities. We were all happy about that over the past 30, 40, 50 years. But we cannot continue to operate that way, and we're woefully behind. While we try to be gracious and affordable, it also has its implications. Now that we're competing in a very different way, we have to now push to advance tuition and fees in an appropriate way, which advances cost to attend, but those revenues are absolutely critical for us to be able to derive and then in turn invest in residence halls or staffing or technology that some of you complain about today, but we're very happy about with low tuition and fees years ago. Well, we have to make a very different set of discussions about the business aspects of running a very competitive, highly engaged, highly successful university today. No excuses, no apologies, unapologetically, we've got to be much more intentional about investing in our university. And revenues, some come from the state, some come from donors through our private dollars and building our endowment. But colleagues, it also comes from adjusting tuition and fees in an appropriate way to derive the revenues in a smart way and prioritizing how those dollars get invested over the coming years. Those are going to be critical decisions that the board and the next chancellor will have to continue to wrestle with as those tuition fee adjustments continue to be made as we look to the future as well. And we have to recognize we want to be at the top of the heap in competitiveness and the like. We're going to have to also continue to make investments as well. And as an alum and as a former chancellor, soon to be, I will also have to be making my continued contributions, and we will intend to do that as well, because we know the value of helping to build our endowment, to provide scholarship support to our needy students and support of our students, supporting outstanding faculty, faculty positions and the like, and investing in the infrastructure of our university. We are a very proud university with outstanding facilities, but we're going to have to continue to make investments in them if we're going to accommodate the campus and the future of our institution at the level we hope to continue to be.
Thank you, Chancellor. And I think I would just add to that, that because we've managed costs so effectively here at A&T, we are now the most affordable doctoral research university in America of all universities. That's quite something to be proud of, but it's also a challenge for us as well. So we have to pay attention to that going forward. Thanks for the depth of that answer, Chancellor. Let's move over to Ken Sigmund for a question about endowments. One of our alums writes in, I want to start 2 endowments. How do I get started? We are 3 generations of Aggies in our family, and we really want to create a legacy. Ken, how do they move things forward?
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Thank you for that question, because endowments are a fantastic way to create a legacy at A&T. And I say legacy because endowments are perpetual investments in the university with good stewardship, investing, and a great spending policy in place. It not only provides current student support, but will provide growth over the years and the same and increasing levels of support for generations to come. So they outlast us all, and that's the beauty of endowments. So I saw the note, and I told you I'll reach out to you tomorrow. So I've got your information, so we'll certainly start the conversation. But we appreciate your interest in investing in the university and those people that we serve.
Thanks, Ken. Earlier in our conversation tonight, one of our panelists mentioned our new Vice Chancellor for our Division of Strategic Partnerships, Tim Miner, who was on the Zoom with us this evening. And there's a question for Tim that's come in. It is, how do companies get involved in building partnerships with A&T? My company has been trying, but can't get into the job fair. And trust me, alums, we hear this often. You would not believe how many businesses we have to turn away from the job fair because there simply isn't the space to accommodate them. That's why we've spread the career fairs out over several days. Some of the bigger companies, Google, Apple, will come in and do their own career fairs here. But Tim, for someone who's trying to get their company started in relationship with the university, what's the best way to go?
Thank you for that. And thank you to our alumni who are always wonderful in working with the university. The university is doing a fantastic job with working with companies, but one of the ways that we like to get even better is making more transactional relationships more comprehensive. And so as we do that, we look to you to help us to do that. If you do have a company that is interested in working with the university in any direction or any way, please have them or have the representative reach out to me personally or the office, and I'd be happy to serve in the capacity to help lead the company in the direction that they'd like to go, and hopefully build out, again, not just those transactional relationships, but those comprehensive relationships with the university.
Great, thanks, Tim. And let's move back to academic affairs for a couple of questions here that will unfortunately need to close us out because we've now passed 9 o'clock and we don't want to keep everyone up too late. This is a very interesting one for you, Provost. One of our alums writes and asks, could we support college experiences for young adults who are on the autism spectrum?
Absolutely, and we already do. We have an Office of Accessibility Resources that falls under our Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, Dr. Nikisha Williams. I will say certainly that as we have our Blueprint for Belonging, our DEIB plan, we have been living up to that. Neurodiversity is valued here. All diversity is valued here at North Carolina A&T. And so through our Center for Teaching Excellence, faculty are trained on how you teach inclusively, including for individuals who might be on the autism spectrum or have other forms of neurodiversity. And then in addition to that, we also make sure that our students have accommodations as needed through our Office of Accessibility Resources so that we can adapt and adjust as needed to meet their needs as well.
Isn't it great when we ask a question of leadership, when we find out that we're already doing the right thing here at North Carolina A&T? One final question for you, Provost. Have we considered, or do we already have a mentoring program where Aggie alumni can mentor a current student to help them navigate the growth and challenges of college and help them to succeed? And we might open this up to Crystal Boyce as well.
And yes, so I'll answer and then, of course, turn it over to Crystal. We indeed do. We have colleges. I'll give an example. College of Business and Economics, Dease College of Business and Economics has a number of mentoring programs in place where many of our business and economics alumni come in and they are mapped to students. We use an application called Mentor Collective, which helps to sort of do the matchmaking. This is also being done in other colleges in various ways because we do value that mentorship. It's very important to our students. And we have a number of alumni who do volunteer as mentors. So if you are interested, I would suggest that you contact the dean of your college. Begin there because they will, of course, be most in touch with the mentoring needs for that particular college.
Thank you, Provost. Crystal?
Yes, thank you, Todd, and thank you, Provost Smith-Jackson. I echo the sentiment. A lot of the alumni engagement in terms of mentoring, we are partnering with our colleges to do that. And so for all alumni, if you are not receiving information from us, it's important that we update your contact information so that you will receive the information from the colleges and that they send out about those opportunities and information that we send out. So I encourage you to email alumni@ncat.edu. We will add it to the chat so we can ensure that your information is updated for those alumni engagement opportunities such as mentoring.
And I'm sorry I lied here. We'll take one more question for academic affairs. Provost, one of our alums asked whether there is any consideration currently for expanding some of our degree programs, for instance, political science, to include a national security focus.
Yes, indeed. So we have woven in, as you know, we already have a Master of Science in Cybersecurity, which was started 2 years ago. That program is very much thriving. Cybersecurity is also woven into many other courses in computer science, as an example, also through our IT and our Center of Excellence in Cybersecurity Research, Education, and Outreach, which has been a thriving center since 2019. In addition to that, not quite political science, but certainly in criminal justice, we do have 7 courses just dedicated to cybersecurity, information security, forensics and ethics and the law around cybersecurity as well. Those courses are open to anyone, but certainly they're in the criminal justice department and part of the requirements for our criminal justice students. So there's a whole lot of cybersecurity going on at North Carolina A&T.
And of course, we're already seeing students emerge from some of those programs, and they're in extraordinarily high demand by employers around the country. A&T continues to be one of the most prominent hiring campuses for the National Security Administration, the NSA, with the federal government. So thank you for the question, whoever that was on YouTube. We appreciate you. And thanks to everyone for all of these great questions this evening. We always have such great dialogue on these town halls. It's such a pleasure to do them. And thanks for tuning in with us tonight. I'll turn it back to Crystal Boyce to take us out. Crystal.
Thank you so much, Todd. Before we end, I have one more person that I want to provide closing remarks, but I do want to turn it to VC Seals, who is over our human resources, Chief Human Resources Officer, because we have over 700 alumni on campus who are working here, but there are tons of other opportunities. So I will turn it over to her just to share about that.
Thank you, Crystal. Following in Chancellor Martin's remarks about our institutional growth and certainly our need to continue to hire excellent quality workforce for the university, we encourage you all to visit the university social media and continue to promote the opportunities that A&T has for careers here at the university. We invite you to share those pages, those postings, as you have with other things that the university has posted. Please help us to continue to grow and strengthen our university so that our workforce can continue to support the mission and initiatives here at A&T. Crystal, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for the work that you all do. I want to thank all my colleagues, the administrators on campus, cabinet members for joining us. And I would be remiss if I didn't allow our chairwoman of the Board of Trustees and chair of the Advisory Council on Alumni Relations, Kimberly Gatlin, to close us out with a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all of our alumni across the world for joining us this evening. Thank you to Chancellor Martin, Crystal, and all of our outstanding cabinet and staff members for providing this very informative session. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the Advisory Council on Alumni Relations, I am charging all Aggies with the task and the responsibility of staying connected and engaged with the university, especially as we prepare to go into this transition in leadership and enter into the next chapter for our university. We have been on an upward trajectory over the past 15 years under the stellar leadership of Chancellor Martin, and we fully expect with our new Chancellor to stay on this upward trajectory, and we need all of your support. As we say, Aggies are always doing and never done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope you all have a great night. Hope you are safe, taking care of yourselves, and always remember, in Aggie land, we achieve great goals in everything and produce renowned individuals dedicated to excellence. Aggie